Good morning, ladies and gents. Good to see you all here. Losing space for these microphones. I think we're pretty well right to go straight to the video, are we not? But let me just, in welcoming you here, simply say that this is something that I think we haven't done this before. This is an unprecedented step for us, and actually we make sure that we get some community service announcements out there and launch this whole summer safety and security awareness campaign, which we do at this time of the year normally, but again, we've never done it this way before. We might go straight to the video if we can, thanks.
With the warm weather here, I'm asking everyone to look after yourself and those you care about. Whether it's a night out with friends, out on the water or on our roads, let's make good decisions and don't do something you may regret forever. If you're drinking, plan ahead. If you're driving, don't drink. My officers see far too much tragedy on our roads where people drink and don't think. Poor decisions can result in a lifetime of heartache to you, your family and your friends. Let's make the right decisions. Play safe, stay safe.
Okay. There's a series of those. I think there's a radio ad as well, and certainly we've provided some written material to the print press as well. So, just before I go to questions, a couple of things. I guess from what you've seen there, this is about ensuring people understand that having fun doesn't necessarily mean putting yourself in a dangerous or a risky situation, which is what we are increasingly seeing. You know, we're going to be in coming months dealing with everything from schoolies, and we're right in the middle of that now, formals. We're going to be dealing with boat safety, rock fishing, beach safety, security whilst on holiday, security on the roads, road safety. There are so many things that make up the summertime for us. We thought it would be appropriate and, in fact, important to bring it all together in one package. We will see, and as we move into Summer Safe and we move into Operation Unite, which is coming up in the coming weeks, a real emphasis on alcohol, but this is not exclusively about alcohol. You don't need to be drunk to do stupid things. Bad decisions will give you very bad outcomes. And so we've been saying, and we will continue to say, that we don't want you to make bad decisions and then be left with the burden of regret that will stay with you forever. Understand that we're in the business of trying to make summer safe. And if you play safe, you'll stay safe. Happy to take questions.
You said this is unprecedented. Why the decision to go ahead?
Well, because we need to be doing more. We're still seeing too many people that are injuring themselves stupidly. As I've said, this doesn't necessarily relate to anti-social or violent drunken behaviour in the city. Just as importantly, the tragedy strikes home when somebody dives into a pool having been mucking around with mates and going into shallow water and breaking a neck. It can be falling off a footpath or riding on the boot of a car, not necessarily drunk, but just doing stupid things. So we think that it's important that we continue to drive home this message. Just look after yourself, look after your mates.
Commissioner, you stand there every year at the same time, generally with Gordy and Fuller. How confident are you this time that this message will get across?
Well, look, as confident as we can be. More importantly, it's a matter of ensuring that we do all we can. And so to do more to ensure that we are trying to get the message through is about as much as we can do. Now, we'll be out there in very big numbers and we'll be enforcing the law. You've seen that over recent years, and let me tell you, this year will be bigger and better in that regard. But that doesn't change, and nor can I ever influence the decisions that individuals make. That's why we come together and we call on people to make good choices, good decisions, have a great summer. This is the best time of the year. We all know that. This is a wonderful time. But it can be a really sad time when someone loses a loved one or a friend to a motor vehicle accident, or somebody ends up being permanently paralysed because of some stupid decision that they made or something stupid that they did. We know that alcohol does play a significant factor, and that's why we'll continue to focus on alcohol as well.
As the Commissioner, your line is always...
Look this way, please.
John.
As the Commissioner, your line's always very diplomatic. Scott Webber goes a lot harder. Is there some ground in between that you're comfortable with that government should listen to?
Oh, well, no, when we say, you know, we won't be tolerating antisocial behaviour, we've never been soft in that regard. It's certainly an area that we've put a lot of effort into. We'll continue to put a lot of effort and resources into it. From my perspective, there's no room for the antisocial behaviour that we see in the streets, and that's why, as I'm saying, there'll be some very big operations this year. Likewise on the roads. There's no room for drink driving on our roads. Too many people die as a result of people that are drunk and on our roads.
Commissioner, why do you think the message is not getting through? It's quite a basic message. It gets
It is.
rolled out every year.
Look, if I knew what the answer was, I don't think that I'd be standing here every year doing it. We'd simply get on with it and make sure it got through. Look, I don't know. What I do know is, though, that we need to keep sending the message. We need to keep telling the next generation and our young people that decisions that they make when they're young, carefree, can often impact on them for the rest of their lives. And not just on them, but their extended friends and families. These are really important messages. I will keep putting them out there.
How are you planning to measure your success? Do you have figures?
Well, look, it's difficult in some regards. It's quite easy to look at things like the number of deaths we have on the road, the number of assaults that we might reduce in licensed premises, in or around licensed premises, or on the streets. So there are a number of measurements, but I'm sure that sometimes the true cost is not something that we can measure. How do you measure or in fact quantify the emotional damage that's done to a family, to a generation, when this can impact on not just a mother or a father, but the child of the victim or the children's children. These are very difficult things to measure.
Commissioner, on another matter, the death toll from the Bakesville fire hit 6 yesterday. What's your reaction to that? How are you feeling about that?
Simon, it's a tragedy. I think we'll all pause this week and think long and hard about what's happened here. This is, again, something that as a modern society we don't like to think about because it should never happen, but it has. In terms of the detail, you'd understand I can't go anywhere near working through that because we've got a man before the courts, and we've certainly got a coroner who will be looking very closely at the circumstances surrounding the event itself.
What about criminal checks on nursing home staff? Do you think enough has been done, or is that some area that we can review?
Well, it's always something we can review, and this is. I think the Premier has come out today and said that would be the case, and accordingly we will certainly work with him. But from my perspective, whatever we can do to try and keep those that are fragile and frail due to their age is really important.
When you're satisfied with the current process of checks and from a policing point of view, do you think it's adequate, what the system that's in place, or can it be improved?
Well, look, and it depends. It's not just about people in nursing homes. The level of checks that we actually have in place for a whole range of industries, everyone from volunteers through to those in the childcare industry, and you've seen this over recent years. We have lifted that significantly. If this needs to go further, then I'm sure we'll take it further.
It was an awful, obviously, situation on Friday. What do you make of the police response to that?
Well, look, I was on leave on Friday, and I was touched when I first heard the reports come through, having received a very early call from Commissioner Mullins, and decided I should go out there myself and have a look and talk to our officers. And again, I was so encouraged just to talk to not only the police but the fire brigade and the ambulance. These are young people generally, and the two that particularly I had some time with back in Quakers Hill Police Station were just a reflection on what's good and right about the New South Wales Police Force. It certainly makes you very, very pleased to know that you're part of that organisation, but more importantly encouraged to know that there are men and women of this calibre that are standing in the line for us as community. It was most encouraging to talk to them.
Commissioner, in terms of the ongoing investigation, when are you hoping to get detectives into the most severely damaged parts?
Look, I'm not sure where they're at. When I was out there, I can assure you, the fire safety officer was. I was reasonably close to the most damaged parts of the building. They were strictly enforcing the no-go rule, and I was moved out of there along with a range of others. So the fire officers and those responsible for ensuring the safety of that workplace are doing a great job, but we want to get in there just as soon as we could.
And what about the additional counts of murder? When do we expect him to be charged?
Well, normally you would deal with that when the person appears in court, but I'm not sure when the detectives will go forward in that regard. But it shouldn't be long.
Commissioner, are you comfortable with resourcing out there? There was a suggestion that an interview was conducted some hours earlier and police were called away to another job. Have you looked at that situation, or have you investigated that?
Look, all of those matters, everything surrounding this event, be it from the first engagement right through until the last engagement, is something that's going to be the subject of ongoing investigations. We've got two lines of inquiry going here. We have a criminal investigation where we have a man before the courts charged with multiple counts of murder. We also have a coroner who's out there looking at it from an inquiry perspective in terms of not just the deaths but the fire. And so all of this, and in fact every part of this engagement, will be the subject of this investigation. Consistent with every other time I've stood before you dealing with a major investigation like this, I've said we will not run commentary. There is much that needs to be done. Many people have been interviewed, but many more will have to be interviewed. So rather than change anyone's thoughts or processes in terms of what has happened or what should have happened, I'm going to leave it to the detectives. That will come out certainly through the trial, more importantly, as importantly, through the coroner's process, and we'll get a very good understanding of what's happened.
Commissioner, the accused's partner apparently lives out there. Are you worried about maybe a backlash of violence directed toward him?
Look, that hasn't been raised as an issue that I'm aware of.
How's access to the site holding up your investigations?
I haven't taken a briefing on that, but whenever you want to get in and start examining, particularly a fire scene where there needs to be a whole range of forensic samples taken and arson investigation techniques deployed, it does make it difficult. But I haven't been briefed in terms of the complexity or the problems that maybe police are encountering at the moment out there, simply as a result of the lack of access. But that will be resolved very quickly. That will not be a problem for too much longer.
And there's a number of elderly people that you haven't been able to interview yet because of injury?
Oh, well, I mean, when you're in your senior years, a relatively minor issue can be a major medical threat, and the frailty and certainly the problems associated with inhaling large amounts of smoke, if nothing else, is always potentially life-threatening for our older folks. We'll do that in the right time frames. We want them to recover. We actually want to get them well enough so that we can talk to them, and then we'll go down that process.
Will you be monitoring your police officers who were first to the scene?
Yes.
Psychologically, they would have...
Simon, we do that all the time. Before I even got there, and I got out to Quakers Hill Police Station shortly after I had spent some time at the nursing home, I've got to say, already there was our employee assistance program people, which are the psychs and the like, our chaplains. There were 2 chaplains, both at the scene and back at the police station. We'll continue to put that sort of resource around those officers and anyone else in that station, because we know just how important it is.
Commissioner, tomorrow there'll be a major campaign by officers in regards to death and disability. Where do you stand on that issue?
Look, I've made it very, very clear. In my mind, certainly we've got advice, and that advice has come from many, many different areas. It's come from the Auditor General in a number of formal reports, and in fact, even former presidents of the Police Association saying, and in fact I think the current president saying, that we have a situation, a scheme that is currently unsustainable. Putting that aside, my main concern has been and always will be doing all we can to get as many police back to work as we possibly can. And we've got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of officers on long-term sick. We want to make sure that we've got a scheme that encourages them to come back to work and works with the individual officers to get them back on the road, in our trucks, doing what we need out and about.
Authorities are saying that further charges will follow once investigations are complete out at the site. What are those charges that you're expecting to lay?
Well, as I've already said, I won't run a commentary. I can't run a commentary on the investigation, but certainly I understand that these charges are the most serious we can lay, so you might want to read a little bit into that. But certainly, in terms of when, where, how, whom, it's not the sort of commentary that I'd want to run.
If I can just get back on the alcohol issue,
yes.
Since you stood there at this campaign last year, leading supermarkets now being given the right to sell beer, is that frustrating to you?
Oh, it is. I'll tell you straight up, it is. Much of the problem that we encounter as a police force happens not just on the street when it comes to alcohol-related crime. It happens in the home. This is a sad time for many when we know that Christmas is a time of joyous family festivity, but it also becomes a nightmare when we have people that consume too much alcohol at home. And I've said this previously, and I'll continue to say it. You know, domestic violence, a large part of the domestic violence problem that we encounter day after day after day happens as a result of people consuming too much alcohol in the home and then becoming violent. So, you know, the notion of being able to take away and buy unlimited amounts of alcohol at a very cheap rate only adds to our problems. Have no doubt about that.
And school celebrations for New South Wales residents kicks off this week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that something you're concerned about for seeing a potential rise in alcohol-related violence?
Look, we've all seen the images overnight even of young people in Queensland acting terribly inappropriately, be it alcohol, be it drugs, be it simple, you know, nonsensical behaviour where they'll swim in the middle of the night and potentially drown, and all of those sorts of things cause every police force and every police commissioner concern. Nothing changes simply because I stand up and necessarily give this message, but I can assure you, I think as Stuart Wilkins has been quoted today, the commander up in the north of New South Wales, there'll be many police there, they'll be doing their job, they'll be working as hard as they can to keep those young people safe and those communities that they're a part of. So it's always a cause for concern, but we'll be doing all we can to try and limit the amount of damage that these people do themselves, unfortunately. Okay, thank you folks, and hopefully you'll get a chance to run this over the course of the summer period. Thanks.